Complying with the law was established to take about 24 million labor hours a year and require businesses to hire more than 26,000 personnel just to comply with these already finalized regulations, which is only 30%. Think about those numbers. Think about what this is going to do to the economy. As of this writing, Congress is pursuing the same irresponsible and reckless course respecting so-called comprehensive immigration reform. So what do we do about it? Here's something to do about it. The amendment to grant the states authority to check Congress. Section 1. There shall be a minimum of 30 days between the engrossing of a bill or resolution, including amendments, and its final passage by both House and Senate. During the engrossment period, the bill or resolution shall be placed on public record and shall have no changes to the final bill or resolution. Section 2. Section 1 may be overridden by 2/3 votes of the members of the House of Congress. Section 3. Upon 3/5 votes of the state legislatures, the states may override the federal statute. So the states will not have 30 days. They can call it a simple 1 day, because now we have time to read these things before they're enacted. Section 4, upon 3/5 vote of the state legislatures, the states may override the executive branch regulations exceeding an economic burden of $100 million after said regulations have been finally approved by the Congressional Delegation Oversight Committee. Amendment to grant the states authority to directly amend the Constitution. So you see there's a provision here where once this becomes public knowledge, any state legislature can convene, read it, look at it, and negate the federal law. How do you like that? Every bill over $100 million. Are you with me? You get time to read it, to study it, if the states don't like it. Now granted, this provision in the Constitution has never been used before. I didn't even know it existed. And I've read the Constitution quite a few times. When I went back and read it, it's in Article 5, I got excited about it. Because Obamacare could have been negated within a 30-day period. Because we would have had time to read it. The states would have had time to read it, have oversight over it, and it only takes a 1-day session in our state legislature, a nay, yay or nay majority vote. Yes?
Not all states meet at the same time, have sessions at the same time.
It can call an emergency session 1 day in order to do this. And believe me, when the states get a hold of this and have the power to do this, they will call those things. Because we the people should be, I'll talk about how to implement this and how to make our own state representatives and senators accountable to make this work here in Florida.
They could have just nullified it.
The Section 6, states override the authority must be exercised no later than 24 months from the date the President has signed a statute into law or Congressional Delegation Oversight Committee has approved the final regulation, after which the states are prohibited from exercising an override power.
Where is that from that you just read? Where is that?
This is from the proposal, the Liberty Amendments. It's one of 11.
Okay.
It's in this book. You can read it comprehensively. I've been in touch with Mark. Some of them, we're going to make an amendment to one of these or a change in one of these. I'll read the other ones to you now. So you can read this book where he thoroughly goes in. There's a lot of information. There's an interview with him on the Breitbart group. The amendment to establish term limits for members of Congress. Section 1, no person may serve more than 12 years as a member of Congress, whether such service is exclusively in the House or the Senate or combined in both houses. Would you be for that?
Yes.
It would negate these professional politicians, wouldn't it? Section 2, upon ratification of this article, any incumbent member of Congress whose term exceeds the 12-year limit shall complete that current term, but thereafter shall be ineligible for further service as a member of Congress. An amendment to restore the Senate. The 17th Amendment is hereby repealed. All senators shall be chosen by their state legislatures as prescribed by Article 1 of the Constitution. If you're not aware of what that is, from 1787 until 1913, this, by the way, was the first big win of the Progressive Party, repealing of the 17th Amendment, or the 17th Amendment. Because before the 1913, House senators went to Washington as they were appointed by the states so that they would do the will of the state. No senator made a vote without the consent of his state legislature. So let me give you an example. When Bob Graham was in the Senate, supposedly representing the state of Florida, he voted for NAFTA, CAFTA, and all these free trade bills, which now allow competing citrus from South American countries to come into this country loaded with DDT, which had been banned 50 years ago, right? And paying workers $1 a day to harvest them, to compete with our citrus. If Bob Graham would have ever voted for that bill, he would have been instantly recalled and replaced. That was the purpose. This part of the Constitution was heavily talked about during the Constitutional Convention, and it stated that it was the major check of the unbridled growth of the federal government.
Right.
Now, what is the number one factor that determines if anyone will get elected?
Money.
Exactly, money. Because they were about to pass the third part of the coup, which is the Federal Reserve Act, where they were going to print free up fiat money and then charge us interest to use our own money. So we have a money, before that we had a Treasury credit monetary system. Now we have all money representing debt, a Federal Reserve note. So this was well planned out. So this amendment would repeal the 17th Amendment if you have no background about the 17th Amendment. Section 2, the amendment shall not be so construed as to affect the term of any senator chosen before it becomes valid as part of the Constitution. Section 3, when vacancies occur in the representation of any state in the Senate for more than 90 days, the governor of the state shall appoint an individual to fulfill the vacancy for the remainder of the term. Section 4, a senator may be removed from office by 2/3 vote of the state legislature. An amendment to establish term limits for Supreme Court justices and supermajority legislative override. Section 1, no person may serve as a Chief Justice, Associate Justice, or of the Supreme Court for more than a combined total of 12 years. Section 2, immediately upon ratification of this amendment, Congress will organize the justices of the Supreme Court as equally as possible into 3 classes, with the justices assigned to each class in reverse seniority order, with the most senior judges in the earliest classes. The terms of the office of the justices in the first class will expire at the end of the 4th year following ratification of this amendment. The terms for the justices in the second class will expire at the end of the 8th year, and the third class the end of the 12th year. so that 1/3 of the justices may be chosen every 4th year. Section 3, when a vacancy appears in the Supreme Court, the President shall nominate a new justice who, with the approval of the majority of the Senate, shall serve the remainder of the expired term. Justices who fill a vacancy for longer than half of an unexpired term may not be renominated for a full term. Section 4, upon 3/5 vote of the House of Representatives and the Senate, Congress may override the majority opinion rendered by the Supreme Court. Section 5, the congressional override under Section 4 is not subject to a presidential veto and shall not be subject to litigation or review in any federal or state court. Section 6, upon 3/5 of the vote of several states' legislatures, the states may override a majority opinion rendered by the Supreme Court. Get that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me repeat it. Upon 3/5 of the votes of the several states' legislature, the states may override a majority opinion rendered by the Supreme Court. Because the Supreme Court is ruling by fiat now.
That's right. Yes.
It was never intended to do that. Roe v. Wade is a good example, right?
Right.
This will give the state legislatures the power to override Supreme Court decisions.
Yeah.
Think about this. Number 7, states override under Section 6 shall not be subject to litigation or review by any federal or state court or oversight or interference by Congress or the President. Section 8, congressional or state override authority under Sections 4 and 6 must be exercised no later than 24 months from the date of the Supreme Court rendering its majority opinion, after which that date, Congress and the states are prohibited from exercising the override. You think it's going to take states 2 years to do this once they do it one time? No, it's not going to take them. So it doesn't matter if the state legislatures are not in session at that particular time. They have 2 years to refer their vote. And once 3/5 are reached, that's 36 states now, then it's done. 2 amendments to limit federal spending and taxing. Section 1, Congress shall adopt a preliminary fiscal budget no later than the first Monday in May for the following fiscal year and submit said budget to the President for consideration. Why is that important? Because many years now we are functioning without an approved budget. That will eliminate that. Section 2, shall Congress fail to adopt the final fiscal year budget prior to the start of each fiscal year, which shall commence on October 1st of each year, and shall the President fail to sign said budget into law, an automatic, across-the-board 5% reduction in expenditures from the prior year's fiscal budget shall be imposed for the fiscal year in which the budget has not been adopted.
Yeah.
Sound rational?
Yeah.
Section 3. Total outlays of the United States government for each fiscal year shall not exceed 17.5% of the nation's gross domestic product for the previous calendar year. Section 5. Total receipts shall include all receipts of the United States government, but shall not include those derived from borrowing. Total outlays shall include all outlays of the United States government, except those for the repayment of debt and principal. Section 6. Congress may provide for a 1-year suspension of one or more of the preceding sections in this article by 3/5 vote of both houses of Congress, provided the vote is conducted by roll call and set forth the specific excess of outlays over 17.5% of the nation's gross domestic product. Section 7, the limit on debt of the United States held by the public shall not be increased unless 3/4 of both houses of Congress shall provide for such an increase by roll call vote. So that would be a supermajority in Congress. Section 6, this amendment shall take effect in the 4th fiscal year after its ratification. Taxing. So the first section was on spending, this is on taxing. Section 1, Congress shall not collect more than 15% of a person's annual income from whatever source derived. Person shall include natural or legal persons. Section 2, the deadline for filing federal income tax returns shall be the day before the date set for elections for federal office. Section 3, Congress shall not collect tax on a descendant's